Hey viewers watching at home, this is another quick video I decided to put together. Just going through some tackle, and I kind of became curious to know, for those watching at home, what's the bait that you're going to have tied on in the early season of 2012. And for those that aren't comfortable fishing early in the season of 2012, I understand some of you might wait until the fish are done spawning, but if you're a diehard like me, this question's for you. What's the bait you're going to have tied on at that time of year? And it's actually going to be the contest. So even if you don't fish at that time of year, if you just want to leave a comment and enter yourself automatically into the contest, that's fine. I would encourage you to, because the person who I feel as though leaves the most detailed comment on the type of bait they're going to be using, such as color, presentation, type of lure, why they're using it, all of that information that I think is so critical for so many people to be able to learn from. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I'm trying to get other people to learn. That's where the person is going to, really shine. Is the devil's in the details. So make sure you add a lot of detail to your comment. That's part of the contest as well. As you have to fit it in a comment. You can't private message me, because those will not count. So also, I wanted to briefly go over the reason why I caught that fish on December 31st on a swim jig. Somebody actually private messaged me and had said basically that there was no way I caught a fish on a swim jig with those types of conditions. And I guess after reviewing it, it kind of made sense, because in that video I never really went over exactly how I was using that bait until I think the end. I'm not sure if I did or if I not. But basically the jig that I was using was what you see there in front of you, and the trailer was the Lake Fork Magic Shad, which you see has a lot of orange in it, and that's something that I knew I was going to want to use even before I went out that day, guys. It was a Saturday. On Thursday, I had just gotten my order of the Magic Shads, and since then I've stocked up. You can see here. See all the different Magic Shad trailers. I went out, or went to Tackle Warehouse and ordered more, and then I found out that they were at Bass Pro Shop, which they just started carrying them. So it worked out for me. I got the bluegill colored ones is what I was throwing, but this would also have worked as well, because it does have a lot of orange in it. But on that day, I actually had two jigs with me, with two rods, identical reels, identical line, and just two different types of jigs. So the fish in that video, as you saw, it took that one there, and the jig, it's not the exact jig, but I just wanted to get as close to the color as possible. More of a green with orange in it, and that's more of a pitching jig. But in the video, I think I said JT's jig. I meant to say RT's jig. But it's a grass jig, but it could be labeled as a swim jig, I guess, if you're swimming it, because it is designed to be swam through the grass. So I didn't want to kind of mislead anybody there with how I caught that fish. I was not swimming that jig. I was actually crawling it, and very, very, very slowly. And I'll say that again, very, very, very slowly. I had let that jig actually sit there motionless for about 20 seconds or so before I even engaged the reel. And hold on one second. I want to go over exactly what I'm talking about. When I made my cast, my reel was still engaged. Okay, by me doing this, which I have long fingers, I can just, I got to tighten up on my star drag. Do you see that? I can engage my reel and just click it over with the star drag. So when I made that cast out there, I had that reel still engaged, and I had not yet engaged it. For about 20 seconds, I let that jig sit there. Then I engaged it. And all I'm doing with that jig is going like this. That's all I'm doing. Okay. The reel is a 711, so that picks up quite a lot of line per one full revolution. I think it's like 32 inches or 34 inches. So all I'm doing is just with my finger. Okay. And if I get a strike, it's already in my left hand, so I can cross his eyes. And I think it was like 2 or 3 of these twitches with my finger on the star drag. For those that want to see what I'm doing, that's all I'm doing. He hit it. Okay, so for that person that sent me that message, that's what I was doing. I wasn't swimming it. So I didn't want to mislead anybody by saying I caught a fish on a swim jig in 34-degree air temperature with the water right at the freezing point, because the water was freezing in certain places. But back to the contest real quick. For that person who does leave the most detailed comment on what type of bait they're going to be using, you can see I have some laid out here. You might be throwing a rattle trap, you might be throwing a jerk bait, you could be throwing a swim bait, something like these Huddlestons. Depends on where you're at in the country, or you could be using a tube like myself. What I'm trying to get at is I want everybody who watches this video afterwards and enters themselves in the contest to read what other people are saying below, because that's how we're going to learn from one another. Leave details. That's how you're going to win the contest. Just don't say, I'm going to be using a jerkbait. Talk about the color, the presentation, the cadence of your retrieve, why you're using it. Just go into details about the bait itself. Don't just leave us hanging by saying jerkbait, because we're not going to know what you're talking about. So the person after 1 week with the most detailed comment is going to receive themselves a free Lucky Craft Pointer 78 jerkbait. See, now there's not too many people on YouTube that are going to give away a $15 lure. So that is in the female bluegill color, which around here where I'm from is a really hard color to find. I actually found these at a Dick's Sporting Goods, and there were like 3 left in this color and in this size, and they were like $5.99 a piece. So I grabbed all 3, and in addition to that jerkbait, sometimes throwing, okay, that's the 78. This is the 100. So it's a little bit bigger in size, but they're both Lucky Crafts. And that color on a really sunny day is something I would rather be using, because you can see, I don't know if the camera is going to pick that, but it's more metallic. And this is like a dull matte finish, like a bluegill color, but still a good bait to use. I wanted to get a color that everybody would be comfortable with using. I didn't want to go with, let's say, a gold, which for you guys down in Florida would probably know that is the golden shiner, or something that looks like a rainbow trout for you guys on the West Coast. So if you think about it, a bluegill is universal. It's a staple of a bass's diet. At some point in time during the year, they're going to be eating bluegills, so that's why I went with that color bait. I don't know if you guys can or would feel comfortable throwing that on your bait casters. I can, because they have the magnetic control on the side, so it really allows me to fine-tune my casting ability. But you can throw those on a spinning reel. Actually, I would recommend it if your bait caster does have a little bit of a trouble throwing lighter lures. But it's still a Lucky Craft. They still have a nice weight transfer system in them, but I don't know what your guys' preferences are there with using smaller jerk baits. In addition to that, I'm actually going to go quickly over a new bait company. I haven't used these yet, but I'm excited to. And you know what? I'm such a generous person, I'll just throw in a pack of these baits as well to the person who wins the contest. See, now I'm giving you guys a little bit more of an incentive to enter the contest. But those packs of frogs that you see, for those that are frog fishermen, midsummer rubber frog style bait. This is a new product I just picked up about a month ago. Again, I haven't had a chance to use them yet, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing here so far with the bait and the design. You can see how it pinches the skin on my finger. See that? It's actually got a groove slot on top. It's very similar to the Stanley High Floater series, the rivets, but it's got that pocket on the top. So excited to throw these next year. It's bizbaits.com, B-I-Z-Z baits.com. He makes them in black, green, white. I made a white one, a yellow one, and a white one, a blue one. And then he's got these other baits here. Don't know the names of those. I don't even think they're available yet. He sent them to me as a trial. He's got beaver style baits, what I'm showing you guys here. Camera's about ready to die. I need a new camera. But you guys can see, enter the contest. Win yourself a pack of Biz Baits Black Frogs, which are called the Pad Daddies, and a Lucky Craft lure. So thanks for watching. Good luck. Remember, details, guys. Details.